family member Fred is saying, yeah, George, I get what you're saying, but we could always just increase taxes. Let the wealthy pay their fair share. Okay, let's look at the data and see what actually happens when you increase the highest marginal tax rate. Going back to our chart, we see that tax revenue has pretty much stayed the exact same all the way to the late 90s. So we then have to look at tax rates, the highest marginal rate. And most of us know that back in the 50s and 60s, it was 90%. And throughout the mid-80s, it drops down to around 28%. So again, during this time frame, we have a 90% highest marginal rate. During this time frame, we have a 28% highest marginal rate. But you'll notice the tax revenue coming into the government really doesn't change at all as a percentage of GDP. Why? Because at a certain point, people just won't pay it. They'll figure out a way around. But even if they were willing to pay the taxes, it doesn't matter. Because if you increase the tax burden on the private sector, you're going to be decreasing economic output. And if you continue to decrease economic output, no matter how high you raise the taxes, you're just exacerbating the problem. Let me explain it to you this way. If we start off with the economy, the private sector economy, generating $2 at a 30% tax rate, you're generating 60 cents in revenue. But if because you increase taxes, GDP of the private sector or economic output goes down to $1, even though you increase the taxes to 50%, you're still only getting 50 cents in revenue. So you start with 60 cents and now you're down to 50 cents, although you've increased taxes. Oh, time out. I actually found a picture online that I think illustrates this beautifully. The gentleman in the picture represents the government. The donkey represents the private sector. And just like when you increase taxes, when you increase the burden the donkey has to pull, the donkey's going to get slower and slower and slower until it gets to a certain point when it stops altogether. Just like the private sector economy. If you burden it with more and more taxes, it's going to get slower and slower and slower until it gets to a point, just like the donkey, where it stops altogether.